Hi, Mark. Um,
Hello.
I'm really excited to conduct this interview today. I'm looking forward to learning more about you and what's in a life, which is your book. To start, can you tell us a little bit about you and your book?
Yes. Well, the book relates to a part of my life, excuse me, that I call a snapshot, actually, of a period of my life during the Second World War when my family and I were in Greece. I was taken there as a child. I grew up there till I was 18 at the end of the war. So when the war began, I was there until the end of it, Second World War. And it's, excuse me, my throat. It's the occupation of the country of Greece, which I experienced in its totality. And that's what I wrote the book about. It's just that part of my life. That's just, I call it a snapshot. Quite an interesting autobiography.
Well, that snapshots are pretty good, right? I'm looking forward to hearing more about that part of your life once I read more about the book. And Mark, how many books have you written, and do you have a favorite?
Yes, actually, I've written 3 books, but they're in a different genre, each of them in a different area of thinking. And besides, of course, all the writing I've done to my thesis for an economics degree and master's I got, and my dissertation for a doctorate about leadership in the church. At any rate, they have a variety of areas they cover, so I cannot frankly say which one I favor the most, because each one is individual. So I favor each one of them individually.
Well, that makes sense. You no favorites because they're all different things, and that makes a lot of sense. Now, in the book of What's in a Life, what part of the book was the most fun to write?
The most, excuse me, most fun to write? Oh, yes. Well, the description actually of the most critical things that happened. I do introduce the book a bit about some family life and all that, but it gets into some very good specifics. Now, there is another very valued book by another author, and about 370 pages, in fact, did a very good job, but it's all hearsay. In other words, the author collected information, whereas in my case, I describe precisely what happened to me. In other words, he would have to come to me and ask what happened. And that's what the book does. So it is, as I say, the most critical part to describe those periods and those events. And that's what I found more interesting.
Well, they just got to start the book to find out more about it, right?
Absolutely. It's very exciting, I can promise you that. I know there are many stories, many people, many events. I don't deny that. I accept that in my own book. But this is a particular one that refers to me, but not me as the hero of the book. There's no such thing, because there's a lot of persons in the book. I'm not the hero, I'm one of the many. And again, then the events is what I'm conveying. And what needs to be read and to be understood by the reader, and that'll be the profit that they get. And that was the purpose of my book, actually, to convey a message.
Well, I'm pretty sure once they read your book, they'll get the message that you want to convey. Mark, can you share with us what inspired you, or what inspired the idea of your book?
Frankly, I was pressed by various people to write a book about it. And I waited a very long time. I went into my 90s when I wrote it. I was reluctant. It's often the case with veterans. They don't want to repeat information about their life during the war. It's the kind of thing you want to forget. But amazingly, the pressure from outside and the opinions of others and my own thinking of the good that the book would do really prompted me to write it. It was to convey a message again that would be useful to humanity. Although there are many others that can do the same and have done the same, it's one more of them.
Oh, that's great. I mean, the best books are the ones where people can take something out of it and make it their own.
Right.
Oh, thank you for writing your book. What characters in your book most similar to you or to people you know?
Being that the experience was not alone mine, was for everybody else. So everyone mentioned in the book has equal standing, or I should say I have equal standing to them. So I cannot single out one particular one. It's really descriptive, again, of the events and not of personalities. So I cannot really, it's not the kind of book I can single out a hero, for example. Okay.
So many characters in the book,
Yeah.
different people that are existing right now. I like that.
Different events, right.
Okay. But how did you come up with the title for this book?
Actually, it's an expression of a sentiment. If you notice, the book title is What's in a Life. I did not say what's in my life, because I wasn't writing about myself. So therefore, the message is generic. And for that reason, the generality of the title, What's in a Life. And it came as an inspiration. It's an expression, thinking a life with what's in it for anybody. That was for me, whatever I describe.
All right. And so now I'd like to talk about like the process that you go through in making the book. What's your writing process like? Are you more of a plotter or a pantser?
Definitely a pantser. I would have trouble with the other.
Okay.
I'll take one thing back. It's not that I like the ability to organize. I can organize, say, a business or an activity, but when it comes down to writing, I trust my instinct more. My subconscious takes over, and I write much better.
That's good. I mean, it's all coming from the heart, right? Whatever
Absolutely.
creative ideas you have and things that you feel come out without having a certain reason for it.
In fact, one of my other books, 7 Gates to Freedom, is another genre, as I said, spiritual. It's a book within a book itself. It's a dialogue about a book within the book. And that the second book inside the main book, I wrote in a matter of hours, and the length of it was about 80 type pages, written in an hour, in a few hours. So this is the kind of writing I do.
I like that. Thank you for sharing that. Can you also share with us what you need in your writing space to help you stay focused?
I'm focused wherever I am. I'm writing the book even mentally. So it doesn't matter. It could be noisy, it could be quiet. It doesn't matter, as long as I can get down the thoughts that are occurring. So I have no favorite arrangement for writing.
Got it. So you're able to tune everything out around you as long
Absolutely.
as you're in that mental space of wanting to write something.
Absolutely.
If you were to write a spin-off about a side character, which would you pick?
As I said before, because we were all the same, I could pick any one, because we were all experiencing the same in this particular book. Now, if it were another book of fiction or something, I would be able to answer. But in this case, anyone would be my alternative, or my
So there's no specific
Similar to me.
character in the book that you just wrote that you would create a spin-off with. It would be anyone in the book, right?
Well, yeah. Well, if we press the point, I would say anyone who acted heroically, like a description in the book about a young man doing something with a swastika, and that you need to read to find out, very exciting. Or another gentleman who was in Dachau and was operated illegitimately on his body. They had a part of his body extracted, survived, that kind of thing. Again, in the book, you'll read about it. Those are the people I would select. Yeah.
That's very
because of that area of writing, of the theme.
Yep. But I mean, you caught my interest right now. You know, I'm very eager to find out that person that was operating on and things like that. How do you celebrate when you finish your book? Like, what do you do what's like a main celebration for you?
my celebration really translates to more thinking, did I do a right job? and could I improve or could I add? I really don't up and celebrate, in any way that's fanciful. I'm more critical of myself.
You got to stop doing that, but if it makes you a better writer, a better person, then I'm all for it. It would be nice to celebrate from time to time, right? Do you have a kryptonite as a writer?
I would say the delay I go through when I contemplate for a long time, is it worth writing the book or any book? I mean, if a book is going to be written, it's not for the fun of writing, it's a waste of time. The book should be written for a purpose. And in searching my mind and my heart to find if the book is valid is my biggest drawback. Waiting too long to do it. Which I waited until I was over 90 when I wrote this one.
So just questioning yourself is of the length of how long it's taken to write is a kryptonite. Makes sense. Has writing and publishing a book changed how you see yourself?
Yes, because it brings reality into the picture. You find yourself more, who you really are. I have a principle: the worst thing in life one can do is to fool themselves. The best thing to do is to tell the truth, because when you don't fool yourself, you don't fool anybody else. So it's a principle that I follow, and I think that would answer that. Can you repeat the question? Maybe I deviated.
I think you captured it pretty well.
Okay.
Because it's talking about what the learnings that you got from yourself, and I like that it became like a life lesson for me hearing it, where you don't fool anyone but yourself, right? You always want to speak. Right. So I'm glad to hear that that's what you got out of writing and publishing a book about yourself.
Yes, about any subject for that matter.
Yes. And do you see writing as a spiritual or therapeutic practice?
Both.
Perfect.
Both.
And do you think anyone in your family would disapprove of anything you have written in What's in a Life?
They did not. None of them disapproved. They all approved, most definitely. Criticism may be on minor things, perhaps, the mechanical parts, spelling and stuff like that. But no, in the subject matter, no. Quite an agreement, in fact.
That's great. I'm glad that you got that support. Mark, if you had to describe yourself in just 3 words, what would those be?
3 words. Pragmatic, dependable, honest.
Perfect. Well said. What is the most valuable advice you've been given about writing?
Be prepared to throw a lot of paper away and a lot of words. And a lot of words, because wordy writing is the worst. You have to be able to be aggressive and imaginative enough to formulate thoughts in your mind from different viewpoints, and you get better writing that way. You get the same idea, but say it differently. And when you put it down in writing, it always gets better.
Thank you for sharing that, Mark. I'm sure a lot of our viewers aspire to be a writer, and that's another advice that they can take too. What do you think is the best way to improve writing skills?
To write a lot and be critical of your writing, be a person outside yourself and read it realistically, as I say, pragmatically. Don't be favoring yourself too much that you're such a great writer. It's the worst thing you can do. Look at yourself as not being adequate enough and trying to improve yourself always. The best way.
Thank you, Mark.
It's the same as a military general with not going to battle assuming he's going to win. His better bet is to assume that he might lose, and this way he gets ready. So approach it that way.
That's pretty good advice, right? What advice would you give to help others create plot lines?
Don't come to me, because you will be finding any help as far as writing is concerned. Because I would suggest follow your instincts, follow your intuition when you write, if you're capable of doing that. If you prefer plotting, of course, that's another way. I admire it, but I don't practice it because I'm not good at it in writing.
Thank you for sharing your insights and being honest about that. It's good advice for those. You get different people, right? It really depends on your preference. Now, this was a great interview, Mark. I got a lot from it. I'm sure the viewers did too. Now, can you tell us where we can purchase your book? And if you have a website, please mention your website.
Yes, the book is available in Amazon and also at Bank of Books in Ventura County, California. Both can be found in my website, which, by the way, is newbyzantium.org. I've prepared a little writing for the spelling of what I'm talking about. I hope you can see it clearly. newbyzantium.org for the spelling is the same as the word Byzantine, but Byzantium instead. That's my website, and it gives all the information where the book can be found and a lot more about the book and myself.
Thank you, Mark. This was a great interview. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to conduct it, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you very much for your time and effort. I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye.